Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. I'm excited about this show today because it's going to be just a little bit different than some of the topics we've covered. Today we're going to talk about Generation Z, which I'm pretty sure some of you have no idea what that is. And we're going to talk about technology, and we're going to talk about the profound effect that technology has had on not only on the real estate business, but on just about every business. And my guests today are Megan and Siobhan, who are part of the Libby team working under Linda Liberatore and my landlord helper, Quickpay One. And they're a company that is dedicated to one thing, that is landlord empowerment. But they really have an extensive background in software and also in rental management, all things rental management. But I'm always impressed by their knowledge of technology. So they're there to help different types of landlords, but specifically mom and pop landlords, help bring them into the new world. So, and that's a pretty big job, I know firsthand. So welcome, ladies.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. I'm Siobhan. We are with Quickpay One, my landlord helper, and as Sharon said, we work with buy and hold investors and help them manage their properties. And not only on the management side, we help them to streamline their process to figure out what are the best softwares for them to help them be able to manage it using technology and using their software to the best advantage.
We kind of have a unique viewpoint and perspective as well because our clients use a bunch of different softwares. So we're familiar with AppFolio, Buildium, Rent Manager. We have our own software. So we're running on different platforms based on what our clients are using. So it gives just a general overview that you might not get if you're only used to one software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one thing that I find very unique about your company is you have really a vast knowledge of all the different software. And companies come in and they know their software. You know,
Right.
There's not a lot of, it's been my experience, there aren't a lot of companies that have that vast software experience. So that is one thing that makes your company really unique in the market as I see it.
Yeah, definitely. And because we're running all these different softwares, there's a lot more value in these softwares than sometimes owners are really realizing. All the data that's available in there, they're not truly taking advantage of it because they don't know what's in there.
Mm-hmm. So for those folks who might be a little bit confused about Generation Z, I actually did a little bit of research. So I know who they are because I have a teenager in the house. But for some people, they don't really know that is a very specific group of people. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So if you guys thought millennials were a large group of people, the Gen Z, I think, outdoes them by about 3 times.
million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's coming and it's coming fast, and it's going to be a huge group of renters that are going to come into the market.
They're in the renters market and they're in the workplace now. So they're really the first generation that has grown up with technology at their fingertips. So millennials were good at it because they learned it as they were kind of coming of age, but Gen Z has had it since they were little. So they expect everything instantly. They have an 8-second attention span. So we want our landlords to be able to market to them, to be able to rent to them, and also be able to work with them as they enter the workforce.
And they actually are growing. It's not just themselves. So they're a force to be reckoned with on their own, but they're changing technology and software for everyone across all age groups.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed, I watch her, my granddaughter, Jordan, who I talk about in my shows a lot. She probably gets very annoyed that I'm always saying, well, this was this way and now it's this way.
Yeah.
But it is really the truth because she's known no other way. She'll turn 18 next month. So she knows no other way. For her, mail is a mystery. You know, she's like applying to college and why are they mailing me stuff? You know, it's not something that she's grown up with. And my daughter, both my daughters are property managers. One of them manages like large apartment communities. The other one does works for investors who have a large portfolio of properties. They also fee manage, they rehab and then have turnkeys that they sell. So she went from a background of, there were actually people walking in the door with money orders because it was a very old style landlord. And then she went to work for a company that is 100% online. AppFolio, they don't even have an office. You know, everything's online. They apply online. They send their ID online. You know, they have locks with codes. So it is like a big shift in the marketplace, and people, they don't want to do all that other stuff. They want to send their ID and they want to apply online. Then they want to say, give me the code for the house, and then you can change that electronically.
Yeah.
Right.
A really good point that you're talking about is the application process. I mean, there's still people that are doing it pen and paper, and it's not going to happen right away, but that's something that's really going to get phased out, because these people aren't going to go scan something, put it in the printer, then they need to fill it out, they need to print it, they need to do all these things that they're not willing to do. It takes too much time. Why wouldn't they go look at another property or another management company that they can fill it out right online? And on top of that, as an owner, if you're using that pen and paper method and these people are expecting things right away, they're applying to other units. So by the time you're processing that application, your pen and paper, and you went through all the numbers, it's too late. They've been accepted somewhere else. They moved somewhere else. And a lot of these property management softwares actually, I mean, they speed up the process so much, because when you do your applications right through there, you put in the parameters that you're looking for. And as soon as somebody fills out that application, it's telling you, oh, good match, or not really.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, one of the things that my daughter's company does is student rentals. So she'll send out something, they'll be in class, and she'll go, by the way, rent's due tomorrow. She goes, it's all automated. By the way, your rent's due tomorrow. And then they just go into their online portal in their class, and they just pay their rent.
Right.
But it's curious to me, though, that the other landlord I was talking about, who's in his 80s, by the way, is going to AppFolio. He has finally seen the light, but boy, you talk about a long process to get over to the other side. They have to be able to understand it. And he's actually fairly tech savvy, but you know, there's a security in the old way of doing things. So I think it's a mindset thing, and making them see the value of how it benefits their business.
Right. And it is, you know, technology is one of those things. It's not moving linearly. It's a parabola. It's going up, and it's if you're behind that curve, it's too late.
It's
you
fast.
Want to be preparing. Yeah, you want to be preparing beforehand, because you don't want to be the last guy. Linda always has the joke, Netflix, when Netflix came out, Blockbuster was saying, oh no, like, we're not worried about that. We're really worried about Walmart and Amazon, and now where's Blockbuster?
So exactly. And I remember that whole era was, oh, that'll never happen.
Right.
Yeah. Look back at all the businesses that have gone out of business, and bookstores are in really short supply, because, you know, I look at my granddaughter, she's reading a book on her phone. I'm going, seriously, you're reading a book on your phone? Well, they do homework on their phones, and it's so little. I'm going, to me, that's just crazy, because I like to hold a book. But just look at the bookstores that have gone out of business. So many people do not actually even like to hold a physical book anymore.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about payment options. Now, I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and depending on what level your business is, you may or may not need AppFolio, or you may need more of what I call a starter program, you know, Rent Tech, or you all probably know of a million more.
Cozy is a great software for just taking in electronic payments. But if they're not ready for a software, you still need to be ready for electronic payments. Right. So as you said, your granddaughter doesn't know what mail is. A lot of the gens, they don't have a checkbook. So, and they're not going to get a money order. So they don't have checkbooks. So we've seen our collections, Chase Quickpay or Zelle payments, those have tripled within the last year of how many we're getting. We just went over our data to see how much it's grown every month, the amount of Chase Quickpay or Zelle payments versus paper checks or money orders has grown. So they don't, if they're not in of course, an AppFolio is a big one, but even if they're not in Buildium or Cozy, they still need to be able to offer electronic payments. So that's a great one. All you need is an email address and a bank account with a US-based bank, and they can accept those payments.
So tell me about Chase. What's different about Chase Quickpay? You have to have a Chase bank account?
So it's now Chase partnered with Zelle. So it used to just be people who had Chase could pay each other super quick. And then you saw a couple other banks come out with it. And now they're all part of that Zelle realm. So it's a bunch of, I think there's like 50 banks that can.
So how do you, is it Zelle with a C or S?
Zelle with a Z.
Zelle. Okay. So it's like an aggregator kind of?
Yeah, so it comes right from one bank account to another.
And it's very instant. So we find when we're we send out automated rent reminders via text and email. We'll just get an email right back saying, okay, send it using Zelle, and we get it right away. And so they can do it straight from their phone.
You get a notification.
Okay, so that is something new to me. I didn't know about Zelle. Okay, so yeah, that seems to be, and I noticed back a long time ago when businesses were first switching to credit cards. It was not small businesses. Now, of course, big businesses always had them, but I had a home inspection company, and there was a point at which, it wasn't that easy to get a merchant account 25 years ago if you weren't like a big giant company. So I got a merchant account and then started accepting credit cards. And just that one thing grew our business tremendously, just being able to use that kind of technology. So I'm sure that it makes a difference in how people get paid. If they don't have to bring a check, they don't have to get a money, or don't have to do something hard, they can actually pay on the day the rent's due and not have to worry about that. So what are some statistics on that? I mean, is it increased payments or lessened evictions? Are there statistics on that?
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where with rent specifically, all of these different softwares are allowing you to sign up for an auto debit. So you're scheduling your payment on the first of every month. So you don't even need a reminder. On the first, it's coming out of your account. It's going to your rent. You don't even think about it, which, Linda actually, when she started Secure Pay One, was doing ACH payments, and that was like 10 years ago, and it really wasn't. People were mailing in payments. It wasn't a thing. And in the past year and a half, it's just grown exponentially, and it's now, it used to just be that ACH payment, and actually now, we really believe that they might at some point do away with that, because even that takes too long going through the Federal Reserve. You're waiting 3 days for it to clear and transfer, and now they have these options that are just instantaneous.
Chase to Chase, they get it right away. So with the ACH, it takes a few business days to clear. We've actually seen, like 10 years ago, people were a little more resistant in filling out their bank account and doing that ACH. And now that we've been able to implement electronic signature, a DocuSign or another form of electronic signature, we send them that form and they get it back to us within 2 minutes with their account number and their routing number on it, and we're able to set up those ACH payments. So technology, just in that way, using electronic signature, has been able to get us to be able to collect so much more using the ACH or the electronic payment.
And Gen Z, even, Shannon mentioned they don't have checkbooks. All these banking apps have a simple spot you click, and it's a direct deposit form, and it gives you your bank account number, your routing number, name on the account. All you have to do is take a picture of it, send it, utilize it however you want, input that information, and you're signed up for debit.
Everything is fast now. If it's not fast, they don't want to do it, which is, I think, for landlords that have been around a long time, and they've got to adapt to the new way of doing it, or they're going to start losing tenants.
And that's another thing. We've been talking so much payments and money. Another thing is Gen Z, with that attention span, they also value experience over amenities and over, physical things. I believe there was a stat over the weekend on the news that people are, all these gifts now, I can't remember the exact number, Christmas gifts our experiences.
1 in 3.
1 in 3 people
Yes.
are now doing, give mom and dad a massage instead of buying mom and dad,
A
towels.
sweater. Yeah.
Right. And Gen Z really, really immerses themselves in that. So for properties, they want to feel a sense of community with their neighbors and where they're living.
Okay, so if you wanted to give someone, like a lot of apartment or landlords, they do give their long-term tenants, especially, they give them some sort of a gift. So then they would give them a gift that's an experience rather than a turkey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then there's other statistics over the experience versus amenity just in where you live. So other rental communities are doing things like a taco night at the building or those type of experience versus like we're gonna give you you're gonna have a pool or something like that. They're more interested in the sense of community with where they live.
It's something to consider even if you're not a large property management company. Look at what the large property management companies are doing. So they're investing resources in, obviously they have it on a much larger scale, but they're doing these events that are bringing everyone in their buildings together. So we have clients that have, a newsletter that goes out. So they're the local authority. So everyone that lives in their building knows, okay, my landlord knows what's going on in the area. They have, coupons for local businesses, somewhere to go eat, and they're bringing all of these tenants together. And that's what Gen Z is really all about.
Mm-hmm. I know my daughter that manages the large apartment communities, they do lots of those types of events. So they have a dog park. They have a little lake over there where you can sit out there and chill. They have bonfires. They have movie nights. They have all sorts of things where like you said, community building events designed to get all the people out to meet each other, to make friends, and to be part of this community. So they're very good at that.
And and by doing that, you are having you're securing yourself a long-term tenant. You're having somebody who feels a sense of responsibility and attachment to their community, so they want to stay there.
Right. Yeah. That really helps with tenant retention. I mean, Gen Z and millennials more than anyone are renting and not buying a house right away. So you want to make sure that you're retaining those tenants, because if they are going to continue to rent, our landlords want them to stay with them.
Right. So what are some other things you see landlords doing to stand out in their marketplace? If you had some advice for them, what could they do? Are there some things that people that own single family houses can do?
We have a client who actually has started with his videos now in his Facebook feed or whatever social media platform you're using. So as we mentioned before, Gen Z's got an 8-second attention span. So you really have to make sure that you have videos and half of them play the videos without sound. So you have to make sure it's not just making a video and getting it out there. You need to make sure you're catering to the group that you want. So you want to have something that's popping out in the first 8 seconds of the video. You have something that's a call to action and that's demanding their attention. And you want it to be something that, even if they're not playing the sound, you have captions or you have something on the video where they're in tune with it.
Yeah. Do you all overlay the text on your videos, or do you just do the videos?
We just do the videos, but we have now text. I mean, the captioning, the closed captioning makes a difference, because as I mentioned, and we can even attest to that, when I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, I don't have the sound on. So if I can do something and I don't have to turn it on and I can read it makes a difference.
Yeah, so our landlords who try to market using Facebook or LinkedIn or show properties on there, if they're putting on the video like 2 bedrooms or whatever amenities they have, it's more helpful to who's looking at it, because not, especially Gen Z, are not taking the time to play that whole video and listen to what he's saying. So like 2 bedrooms.
So then that's sort of what I'm leaning towards. So to be clear, if you were going to make a video that you had a 2-bedroom house for rent, you could use closed captioning, and you would lead with 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo for rent. You'd lead with what you want them to see, and like you said,
right. So that way, if it's something they're interested in, they can click to watch it. You want it to stick out to them, so they do click it.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. And I know a lot of people are using video, but I bet they're not using it in that way. So that's actually a great idea. Lead with the most important thing. And because people aren't supposed to be on Facebook at work, and they are, so then you can capture their attention and they can go back and watch it later. So you all, I know you all are good at helping some of the older, less tech savvy landlords transition into the new world. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not really sure.
So I would say that one of the things I know you've mentioned at Folio, these buildings, these rent managers, these softwares are really also excelling and growing. So it's getting to the point, you don't have to be in a software, but if your goal is to grow, and we don't have a preference on the specific software you're in, but you want to be utilizing that data. I mean, these softwares are integrating AI. You want to be using them to get data, to grow your business. And on top of that, you know, they're getting better every day. They're getting more efficient. They have these auto responses, especially Gen Z. I mean, they want an answer and they want it now. So all these different softwares have input texting features, so you could text right out of the software. Everything's noted on a tenant's account. You can blast a bunch of residents at once instead of sitting and sending out something, you know, via mail or whatever it may be that they're not going to see. All of these softwares, I would say, is a trend that we've seen. They're really starting to cater towards that Gen Z, that instant response. So you put in a work order through your portal, and you instantly get a reply like, this has been sent to maintenance, or, you know, there's something showing they're in receipt of your request. And same with payments, you make a payment via EFT right through the software, and you get something saying your payment's been received. Okay.
So I keep going back to some of the landlords I know that are still from the Stone Age. So does your company, or I'm assuming there are companies that would help them with the setup, explain this, how this works? You know, you're not going to get a check, you're going to get this, and do like a transition period for them.
Yeah, we've definitely done consulting and helping with the setup process. I think especially with DIY landlords who have been doing it for so long, they've just been doing it the same way. Some of them still go to the house to collect the check. That's, you know, once we get them in a software and teach them how to use it, we're just showing them that it's actually easier. Things are being done automatically. They don't even really have to, they don't have to go send out a rent reminder because it's automatically happening. So once we show them like kind of the setup part and how easy it is, it's actually, you know, it's saving them time and making things more efficient. So it's not making it more difficult as it might seem at first, and it might seem overwhelming.
I think another thing to think about is, what about the user experience? Now, if you are, you know, the Gen Z person, that's something that you are accustomed to. But let's say even millennials are back a little bit further than that. They're used to a little bit of hand holding. So do you see any problems with the whole user experience end of it, or are most of the generations able to adapt to the new technology?
We truly believe that, I think I mentioned at the beginning, Gen Z is affecting all of these other generations. So you've seen, I'm sure, that commercial with the banking app, the BMO Harris app. The son or grandson gives the grandma a wallet for Christmas, and she's like, no, I have my BMO Harris app. Like, I don't need to see. So they're influencing all of these, you know, you begin to cater towards the incoming generations, and just by default, you're changing it for all of those other generations around you. So it's something we're seeing. We have, you know, speaking of technology, we have a maintenance guy who's 75, I think, and he logs into the Buildium app right on his phone. He's uploading pictures. He's getting signatures from the tenant that things are done. So it's something that really is, you know, a benefit to everybody of all ages.
Yeah, I've been amazed to watch people that I would have never thought to head over to the technology side really want to go over there, because once they get it, then it's all just so much easier. It just makes their life so much easier, but sometimes it takes a little convincing to get them to really understand, because they came from the generation where there was no technology. Before the internet, I call it BI, before the internet. Which is something you all couldn't imagine. So let's look down the road 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Where do you see all this going? What do you see coming down the road?
So we see, I mean, as things are becoming more cost efficient as well, I know you mentioned those locks on the door. That used to be something that was really pricey. It wasn't something that was affordable for the regular landlord, but those prices have come so far down now because they're mass producing things. So we see a lot more stuff like that coming in the future. Sensors. Another thing about Gen Z is they're super aware of the environment and the world they're living in. So they like to see these green appliances, and they like to see these sensors in the house that turn down the lights, all of these things that are better for the planet and better for your living experience. And we think that these are things that are going to come down in price and be a lot more affordable. And they're things that preventative maintenance, you're going to have things that can detect, detect the moisture in the air. Seems like there might be a leak in the roof. So these are all things that we see coming, that it's going to be utilizing this AI to prepare yourself, in the future.
Yeah, it's all very interesting, isn't it? So what are some recommendations you could make? So if someone is really behind the times and they're looking for a catch-up plan, what advice do you have for them? That where do they start? Do they call someone like your company? Where do they start if they're just, this might be hard for you to believe, I'm sure there are people out there that totally have no idea where to start.
You're referencing like a landlord?
Yes, landlord.
So we would recommend that they get in some type of software, and if not a software, keep track of things somehow electronically. So whether everything is, in a spreadsheet or something like that, you want to be able to track your payments and your data. So once they are able to, it shouldn't be on pen and paper anymore. So once they're able to get it into some type of software, it becomes much more simple on their end. And we, of course, could help them do that, but, or anyone of the younger generation, but it would just be able to help keep track of things.
And that knowledge is power. There's so much content out there that, even if you're not quite prepared to take the next step yet, you can be reading about what's coming, and you can be getting all of this knowledge from the people around you, these different real estate platforms that give out free content. Linda always Think Realty has a bunch of information, free information. So there's so much information out there, and the more you read, the more you know, and the more you're interested. It's just, I think now, I really do think knowledge is power, and talking to the people around you. And you said getting into some sort of, you need that organized data somewhere.
Well, and I see most landlords, even the really old school landlords, they have QuickBooks, so they have systems in place. They just they haven't taken the next step to do the online payments and those sorts of things. And I'm hoping that this show will give them the idea that they can do that, because the Gen Z, boy, it has really changed everything. And I watch these teenagers and the way they do things so differently, that is the way going forward. Pretty soon they'll be having children, and then it'll all just continue on down the pike that way.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, at no point is it going to go backwards.
It's never going to go back. So it's adapt or get totally lost, really, in my eyes.
Exactly.
So any final comments or advice you have for the listeners?
I just think I would say Gen Z, is coming. Obviously, that's what this whole podcast has been about. You just want to be prepared. You don't want to fall behind. So I'm not saying that you need to take these huge mass changes, but, start taking the steps now so that you don't fall behind the curve and get swept up when it's too late.
And these changes are something that can help your business too. It's not just that you want to attract the best Gen Z tenant. I mean, they will be your tenants soon, but they can make your business better. You can track how much you're spending on maintenance using this software. You can save money. You can track the type of tenants that are attracted to your unit, so you know who to market to. There's so much data in these softwares that if our landlords use it, they can save money.
And they're not just going to be your renters, they're going to be your employees.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So you want to make sure you have these checks and balances in your business.
Right. And I look at it also as a way of kind of self-selecting your tenants. If you want to build a modern business with modern systems and a modern way of doing things, then you have to have tenants that are willing to go down the same path as you are. So there's still, I still see a lot of that going on. Listening to conversations between my daughters. No, let me come in and put in an application. No, we don't have an office, so you need to go to the online portal. Well, I'll just meet you at the house. No, we're not going to do that. So, but it's kind of funny to listen to because the tenants are set, some of them are set in their very old ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really is, like you're saying, that's the first line of defense for what type of tenant do you want.
Yeah. So it's a nice point to choose the tenant, kind of like choosing your avatar.
Yep. We have a Facebook page. We actually have a YouTube page. Speaking of Gen Z and technology and all these changing
daily tips for do-it-yourself landlords.
We have over 700 videos.
They have a lot of videos. I can attest to that. You all were making a video a day, weren't you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it for today, folks. This is Sharon Varnhoek. Thanks again for coming on the show, both of you. It's been a great show, and I'll be back next week with another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing.
Thank you.
Thank you.